Have you ever noticed how some people can spend hours, even days alone, and still feel completely at peace, while others panic the moment the room gets quiet? Most people assume that someone who enjoys being alone is lonely, awkward, or emotionally distant. But psychology says something very different. In fact, many people who prefer solitude often have deeper emotional awareness, stronger self-control, and richer inner worlds than the average person. Because being alone and being lonely are not the same thing. Loneliness is feeling disconnected. Solitude is choosing disconnection, temporarily, to reconnect with yourself. And that changes everything.
Psychologists have found that people who enjoy solitude usually process the world differently. Their brains tend to become overstimulated faster. Too much noise, too many conversations, too much social pressure. It drains them mentally. So instead of constantly seeking stimulation, they seek recovery. Alone time becomes a psychological reset button. It's where their thoughts slow down, where emotions become clearer, where they finally feel like themselves again. And interestingly, many highly creative people throughout history shared this exact trait. Writers, inventors, philosophers, artists, they often protected their solitude because that's where deep thinking happens. When the world becomes quiet, the mind becomes louder. But there's another reason some people prefer being alone, and it usually comes from experience. People who've been disappointed repeatedly, misunderstood, judged, or emotionally exhausted by others often begin to associate solitude with safety.
Not because they hate people, but because peace becomes more valuable than attention. Over time, they realize something important. Not every connection feels genuine, and not every crowd makes you feel less alone. So they become more selective, more private, more protective of their energy. To outsiders, this can look cold, but internally, it's often self-preservation. In psychology, this is connected to emotional boundaries. People who enjoy solitude are usually very aware of how certain environments affect their mental state. They notice fake conversations, forced interactions, emotional manipulation, social performance, and instead of forcing themselves to participate, they quietly step away. That's why many solitary people appear calm on the outside. They've learned that silence protects their peace better than constant explanation. But here's the part most people never understand. People who enjoy being alone are not always antisocial. Many of them actually love deep conversations, real connection, meaningful relationships. They just struggle with superficial interaction. Small talk drains them. Pretending drains them. Being surrounded by people they can't emotionally relate to drains them even more. So they would rather be alone than feel emotionally disconnected in a crowded room.
And honestly, that's something a lot of people secretly relate to. Modern life constantly pressures us to stay connected. Notifications, messages, social media, endless opinions. We've become so addicted to noise that silence almost feels uncomfortable now. But people who embrace solitude often discover something powerful. When you spend time alone, you start hearing your own thoughts more clearly. You stop performing for other people. You stop chasing validation. And slowly, you begin understanding who you really are underneath all the distractions. That's why solitude can become addictive in a healthy way. Because for some people, being alone is the only time they truly feel free. Of course, too much isolation can become unhealthy. Humans still need connection, still need support, still need love. But healthy solitude is different from isolation. Healthy solitude restores you. Isolation slowly empties you. And psychologically, the difference is choice. At the end of the day, people who prefer to be alone are often misunderstood because society equates loudness with happiness. But some minds